Good day, my friends. Tell me we are live. Do you hear me? Am I coming through 5 by 5? Do you hear me right now? Just let me know. Ah, yes. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Always making little tweaks and changes and little aspects to our various goings on. First of all, I thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this thing of ours. And let me get down to brass tacks. This is important for you to understand, and I can't be any clearer. Trump is going and can win this. Now, when you say this to people and you bring this up, they think you're out of your mind. They think you're out of your mind because, well, frankly, this can't be. There's no way this can be. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't translate. Let us hope that the following happens. Number one, as I said before, let us hope that they try to pull this, quote, nuclear option in which they try to use the various states, and this is important, they try to use the various states to claim that President Trump cannot appear on the ballot because of the fact that he was involved in an insurrection. Do you follow me on that one? Are you following this? Step number one, hope. Ask that they do this. California is doing it, a number of states, and they think they're onto something. Alan Dershowitz is of the opinion, for some reason or another, that the 14th Amendment of this applies only to the Civil War. I'm not going to debate. I don't even know where that works, how that figures. By the way, don't be cautiously optimistic. Listen to how this works, though. Don't just think that somehow there's going to be this machination of wonderful things that happens. Let's assume this. They use Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which says that he was involved in insurrection. Now, if you read this, and this is the part which is interesting, and upon doing research, and other people have done it as well, you have to read the language of the 14th Amendment. And why that's important is that sometimes the Constitution will leave you with reasons, will put you, I guess, in positions. And by the way, thank you very much, Raul Rodriguez. I brought you from crayons to perfume. Thank you. Where is that? Where is that from? That's not... To Serve with Love. Yes, I thought. I also thought I've never been to me. Remember that one? I've been to Para. I've never been to me. Lulu, to Sir, loved it. Thank you for that. Okay. Sometimes the Constitution can be written in a way that doesn't really make any sense to you. They'll leave something out. They'll say you've got to be 30 years old for this, natural born citizen here, and it's almost as though the folks who worked on the various sections never really met with each other or dealt with each other or did anything along those lines. What is important is there is a specific term as to the 14th Amendment to remove for insurrection. You must be, and this is important, you must be as follows. And I'm going to say this again, and I want everybody to grasp this. And please never think that, wow, this is kind of beyond my expertise, beyond my pay grade. No, this is your Constitution. Now listen to this. No person shall be a senator. Now wait, I'm going to read this to you. And I want you to tell me when the president applies, okay? You got what I'm saying? I'm going to read this. And you tell me when when the president applies to this. I'm going to read this to you, okay? Now listen carefully. This is the way you do it. Number one, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress, no, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office. Keep going. Wait. Now we're getting closer. Or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress, No. Or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as any executive or judicial officer of any state. Do you hear that? You hear that? Listen very, very carefully. Now, Trump, of course, they're claiming that he was a leader of some insurrection. The use of the term officer of the United States, officer. Let me say this again. The use of the term officer, and in other constitutional cases, only apply to appointed officials, not elected ones. In 1888, in the Mouat case, M-O-U-A-T, the Supreme Court ruled that, quote, unless a person in the service of the government holds his place by virtue of an appointment, he is not, strictly speaking, an officer of the United States. John Roberts, the Chief Justice, reiterated this in another case. He says, the people do not vote for the officers of the United States. Let me go back and let me do this again with you. This is critical. Under the Constitution, President Trump, or any president, is not an officer because he was elected. He had to have been appointed because none of the other qualifications apply. Everybody cool on that? Everybody got that? So today, or any other day, when somebody says, well, you know, they might be booting the president off by virtue of his position under the 14th Amendment, say, oh, no. He's not an officer. Someone writes, you assume that the justices will apply the Constitution. Yeah. Especially when they've done it before. Especially when the Supreme Court has cited these. You see, it's one thing to say, I'm going to interpret the Constitution. When the court has already ruled, there is a doctrine called stare decisis. Look at Liz. An officer is appointed, not elected. Yes. And a gentleman. Yes. Now, what happens is, John Roberts has to say, excuse me, you said this in this case. These are your words. Okay, stare decisis. Let the decision stand. So, number one, the 14th Amendment does not apply, one would argue, to the president because he is not an officer. He was elected. Now, let's assume, going back to what you said, that for some reason they said, nah. Through some weird machination, they say, nah. And by the way, I need your likes. I've got 107 likes. That's not good. That's not even remotely tolerable. Please, under the rules of our... All right. Listen carefully. Let's assume they don't. What happens then? You follow me? Step one, Democratic attorneys general and the like move to remove Trump from the ballot because he falls under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. What happens then? And they say, no, I'm sorry, it doesn't apply. Great. Then the Republican attorneys general say, okay, we're going to remove him from our ballot because Biden accepted, and this is important, he basically provided aid and counsel to the enemy. Did you hear this one? Let me say this again. If they're going to deny it for Trump, they say, great. This is what we're going to do. We're going to look at elsewhere. California and the other states, of course, could file lawsuits and they could say that we're going to get him off. No, but the Republicans could do it in their particular swing states. They could throw Biden off the ballot. And they could do this claiming his alleged bribes from the CCP would disqualify him under the 14th Amendment, Section 3 wording, for given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. This is a political remedy. There is no... You don't go to the Supreme Court and say, well, this doesn't qualify. No. If the House says so, if the House thinks so, if the House, or anybody for the matter, if people think the 14th Amendment applies and they believe that Trump was never charged with insurrection. Trump was never, in fact, Jack Smith specifically and deliberately ruled accordingly. What happens then? This is where it gets interesting. Then they say terrific. Now, let's say 1 state, 2 states, whatever it is, some biggies. Think about this. Republicans, how about Virginia? Brian Kemp in Georgia. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Georgia. Glenn Youngkin. Kim Reynolds of Iowa. Joe Lombardo of Nevada. Chris Sununu. Let's take a number of these. What happens then? Well, guess what? Now there's no 270 vote electoral majority. So now we go to the House and we determine this in the House. Do you follow this one? Let's make sure we recap this, because let me tell you something. It's a little goofy sometimes. And never, ever, ever, I don't care how many times or whatever it takes for you to learn something, you're going to learn it. You are going to learn it no matter what. No matter what, no matter how. You're going to learn it. So let's go through this again. It's a very, very simple thing. They want to boot Trump off of the election. They claim it was an insurrection. You say it wasn't. They say, sorry, he's off. Great. Republicans then say, well, under your logic, we're going to boot Biden off. Because under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, he gave aid and comfort to the enemy. So now we have both of them off, certain states, and they cannot receive the 270 votes required. What happens then? It goes to the House. It goes to the House. This is the most fascinating news. And we see something that we have not seen in, I don't know. Well, it happened before. It's very interesting. It's called a contingent election. It happened 3 times so far. 3 times with Thomas Jefferson, John Quincy Adams, and in a vice presidential election. And the election is held in the House for the president and in the Senate for the vice president. It's a different story now. Let's just stick with this. Now what happens is you've got 435 members. They don't each get to vote. Each state delegation gets 1 vote. It's 50 votes. And that's it. You got that one? And you've got 19, I think, safe delegations. The Democrats have about 14. So let's see what happens. You get a majority in the House. So that, my dear friends, is something which I find so interesting and so fascinating. And it's using the Democrats and their own version of this. I need more likes. Sorry, I hate to say this. You got this? This is important. This is critical. Now, my friends, let me stop for 1 second, 14 minutes into this. Again, I want to thank you for being a part of this, for being a part of our thing, for being a part of our world, for being a part of all of this. I thank you immensely for this. I always ask for your... I don't want to ever explain to you, and you don't need to know this, but the actual goings on of when you're doing this, when you have a streaming platform, there's so much stuff that you're always trying to work through the labyrinth of everything. So your liking, your subscriptions and the like mean everything. They're so, so critical to us. So we thank you for that. Thank you more than you can imagine. We also thank you for helping our sponsors, but also helping you. I'm never going to ever ask you to be a part of to support a sponsor because, hey, look, I don't, they're okay and everything, but I don't really need that. No. This is great stuff. And I've told you this, and I made it very, very, very clear to you. Very clear. the most important, I've got more great stuff for you also, especially when we have these problems. My Patriot Supply is so important and so obvious to me, especially with what's happening. I saw an article this morning in the New York Post about the triple-demic. They're already talking about N95 and KN95 masks because of the triple-demic. I want you to stop and think for one moment and just remember something. There are people, not in the government, not in the whatever, but citizen friends of yours, family members, who thrive during the collapse of the republic. They love this. And if there was a shutdown, they would call for it. If somebody threats about, there's an uptick of COVID, there's a new variant, there's whatever it is, or maybe there's just unrest, or maybe there's another, God forbid, let's say there's another tragic death of some black motorist by white police officers. You do know, and this is not speaking out of school, but the moment that happens, and it won't happen again, just by virtue of the odds, the moment it happens again, you do realize that there are contingencies ready to go. You will be amazed. Ben Crump, they wake him up. You will have the buses, you will have the groups, you will have the meeting posts, you will have the teams ready to go. Sharpton, whoever the new, maybe they'll dust off BLM or something, but it's ready to go. Apparently, sometimes they look the other way when it comes to really dangerous situations and means of protest. So if that happens, what I'm telling you, if that happens and things break down, and this is important to know, if that happens and things break down, what we're looking at right now is something so dangerous. And if stores close, if citizens are ever in either quasi-martial law or just lockdowns, and stores close and they go through that again, because remember, they know exactly how to do that. They haven't thrown away those stickers you put on the floor, and they haven't gotten rid of the plastic. The companies that put those plastic barriers, they're ready to go for another health emergency or whatever. If that happens, what you have to understand, what's so critical is that, and this is important to note, listen to me carefully, if that happens, you have to understand, and this is important, that stores close. And if stores close, or if people act differently next time, you're going to thank your lucky stars that you went to preparedwithlionel.com. Save $200 off a 3-month 90-day food emergency kit. I can't be any clearer than that, dear friends. I can't be any clearer than that. And also, when I say something on a lighter note, but on a more important note, our good friend too, Mike Lindell and MyPillow. These are people who've been with us the whole time. And I want you to go to mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. You get a free gift, and look at all of the items through clearance and the like that are available to you. Thank you. 196 likes. We need more, my friends. Now let me go back to something. I am not someone, and you got to listen to me, I am not someone who believes necessarily in just always trying to turn up the, as people would say, the conspiracy, angle. That's not my thing. I don't do that. I don't anticipate stuff just to do it. I know people who they feel that somehow it is incumbent upon them and beneficial to them to always scare people. That's not what I'm trying to do. There is so much that is occurring right now, and so much that could happen. Let me stop for a second. Let's give you an idea. Sometimes I use this as an analogy, and I want you to listen carefully. One day I'm going to have a movie. And that's a nice way of saying, not that this is what I think, not that this is what's happening, but this is almost like a, I don't know what the word is. It's almost like an analogy for what could happen. I always talk about the shadow government. This is a word. This is just an idea of the people who run this show. I don't know. We can argue who they are, what they are. But there's somebody or something in charge that has something to do with the Democratic Party. Because the Democratic Party doesn't want this. I want you to listen to me. I know very, very, very loyal liberal Democrats, and none of them, and I mean none of them are in any way, and I mean this, in any way, advocating changes of gender status. Little side note, time out. Gavin Newsom just vetoed a critical bill that would have affected placement and, what do I say? Not placement, but custody. That basically mandated parents taking into account the particular wishes or the directions regarding a gender assignment. And he said, in essence, while I'm in favor of this, I don't want to necessarily prescribe such and such. Why is that important? Because he is pivoting towards the middle. He is going to be the Democratic nominee. I'm telling you. He's giving you all the signals. He's changing. Listen to what he does. You won't recognize him. Gavin Newsom doesn't give a rat's arse about gender reassignment. These are some of the most heterosexual male and female folks you have ever met. And they, in their minds, have no idea whatsoever. African American communities, historically liberal, are very conservative. Well, I say historically, but are very conservative when it comes to this. Look at Prop 8 and gay marriage. Watch the pivots. Pay attention to this. This morning, I happened to notice, as I'm flipping through, just to kind of get a feel for what's new, the amount of information, the amount of stories that were being paid, or that were actually occurring and happening with, and this was critical, happening with Fox News and the Taylor Swift football visit or whatever. I couldn't believe this. They're talking about Taylor Swift. They're getting away from this. New York Post today, Miranda Devine still talking, freaking out, focusing on Hunter Biden. Thank you for this. It doesn't matter. Hunter Biden means nothing. Hunter Biden means nothing. Do you hear what I'm saying? Hunter Biden. No one cares about Hunter Biden. I'm sorry for this. I hope you don't misunderstand. It doesn't matter. Let me say this again. Hunter Biden is a distraction. This business about let's bring in Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland, how come you did this? And that's nice. That's nice. Is it critical? No. Because what do you think is going to happen? Let me stop right there. 230 likes. Thank you. Keep it going. Jim Jordan, what do you want to happen? Merrick Garland to quit? I don't know. Do you think there's going to be there's going to be a referendum? Do you think he's going to be impeached? No. What is it that you want? What is your last and final desire? What is it that you desire? Tell me. What is it? What is your focus? What is your dream? What do you want to happen? They can't answer the question. But what do you want from this? They can't answer the question. What are we supposed to do with this? Can't answer the question. Well, okay. Let's assume you do everything you want right now. Jim Jordan and Comer. What would you like? Do you want Hunter Biden arrested or charged? He's being charged on the gun. No. You want on what? The tax thing, Burisma? I think the statutes of limitation may have run, which is what you're talking about. What do you want? They can't answer it. This is a distraction. Not necessarily intended to be, but this is something that is, I think it's almost personal or something. It means nothing. And the answer is, will Hunter Biden go to prison? And if he does it affect anything? No. Who is going to protect this election in 2024? Who is going to protect? Who is going to do this? This is who. Where is the talk? I would go in there right now and say, everybody stop. Mr. Jordan, thank you very much. Mr. Comer, thank you. You're done. We're not talking about this. We're talking about borders. Who agrees with me? The most important, they're now doubling down. You've got people who are really freaking out. You've got Eric Adams in New York, who's an oaf, who's an absolute. He doesn't know what is happening right now. And he is now saying that he is going to remove people and have them leave these shelters and the like. And they're using every euphemism from migrant to freedom traveler, whatever it is. These are criminal trespassers. And somebody yesterday said, come on, man, follow the money. What does that mean? It's the cartels. Okay. Let me try this again. I don't care how many cartels there are if you can't get through the border. The Biden administration is opening up and saying, come on through. We see buses of people all over the time. That is the issue. Do you agree with me? Do you understand? It's not about Fetterman's pants or what are the other ones? How do you Fetterman's pants? Taylor Swift. That's their focus. Very easy, very simple. Hillary Clinton's talking to Jen Psaki. That's nice. The issue right here, this is it. This is it. Now forget the fact we are not talking anything about artificial intelligence. I say goodbye to that. America simply doesn't understand it. I'm giving up. I'm officially giving up. Believe me. We're all wasting our time if you're talking about that. But the bottom line is, this is it. And they're going to go for a Hail Mary. They are going to go nuts. They are going to absolutely goes nuts. Now, here's what's interesting. You've got right now in the Senate, you've got the most incredible source, the most incredible example of absolute corruption that anybody has ever seen in quite a long time with Menendez. By the way, he hires Abby Lowell to represent him in the federal corruption case, which is kind of interesting. The question is, who's paying Menendez for Abby Lowell? How does this work? What does Menendez know and how critical is he? You've got Fetterman, who's doing his thing. You've got Dianne Feinstein, who still is out of commission. And now you've got a third person. You've got a third one who is, in fact, they're asking for him. Fetterman's asking for Menendez to step down. So this is very, very precarious, very, 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 very critical. But Hunter Biden, I'm sorry, that has run its course. This is a waste of time. This is a complete and total waste of time. And I can't say this enough. I can't explain it enough. I can't put it into words enough. Okay? That's it. Need those likes, my friend. Sorry. I know when I say it to you, you say, oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, by the way. We need more likes. The likes are critical. Now, what's going to happen is, tell me that there are groups of people. I mentioned to you before, in my scenario, I take this young whippersnapper to the headquarters of the shadow government. It's like the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. It's kind of like that. And there's this group. And they're going to say, we have different people who are in control of different things. Social. By the way, social. It's not just, remember, nothing is happening just here. It's happening all over the place. It's happening all over the place. Gender, whatever it is, that's fine. as bad as our borders are, what's happening in Europe, and in Italy, I mean, you can't even believe this. We talked to somebody who is very big in the financial industry, institutional investing, Wall Street types. And what they are saying is in this one got me. More people, they always know things a little bit differently. I remember during the 2020 election, they told us a long time ago, oh, Biden's in. I said, well, I don't know. Biden's in. Trump's doing great at the rally. Biden's in. They knew it. The fix was in. Okay. What people are saying now is international travel, they're saying, I said, well, what? Why? Terrorism or everything? Everything? Medical care, not problems getting back, they're just. Next, the people with all the dough who move here and in the South, and they're being overrun. You have no idea. This is almost ingenious. Places that are historically considered not just white, but rich, really rich. They're having people move into these particular areas and set up low-income housing that's guaranteed, where people are not working. They're not working. And let me also tell you something. We are not talking people who will necessarily bring up the character and the level of community. That's all I'm going to say. It's basically an FU to a lot of people who have for the longest time been, shall we say, kind of riding it. Democrats, you say, well, I'm kind of liberal. Oh, yeah, really? No, I think, I've got my BLM sign. And, oh, really? Yeah, okay. Biden's not too great. I'll give you one. Across the street, I'm not going to say where this is, but across the street in one of the most exclusive, they're putting low-income housing, and you can't even, none of these people are going to work. I don't know who's doing, I don't know where this is from. I don't know what program. It's like, what do you call it? Not upzoning. There's another term for it.
Something like equity something housing.
Yeah, equity something housing. But they're doing it as an up yours to prototypically white and democratic, theoretically textbook liberal folks. We have, and this isn't, I don't, how do I say this? Not schadenfreude, but we have one friend who never cared. She lives in a very exclusive part. And she always felt like, don't worry. Why? Well, you don't understand. In my town, you've got the biggest, you've got more Wall Street hedge funders who live here than, okay. When I tell you, 287 likes, we need more, my friends, thank you. When I tell you across the street, or some people say street, they have been litigating this, low-income housing across, look out the window, ta-da. I said, well, there you go. What? I said, but you don't mind now, do you? You don't mind dividing. You got your Black Lives Matter, and this is not really about race per se, but when you can do the math. The point is, they never cared about anything if it was someplace else. They didn't care about it. It didn't mean anything to these people. Do you hear what I'm telling you? This is there's almost like saying, guess what, everybody? Ta-da! And you can guess why all you want. Illegal immigrants and people who basically I mean, low-income housing is one thing, but this is almost like with a vendetta. This is we're putting it right here. And then one day they're going to go in, they're going to say, you know what, we don't think you need all of these big gated communities. We're going to rewrite something where perhaps, and forget private property laws, we don't believe that you need this particular acreage. So sorry about that. Sorry. And everybody will be, what? So here's the issue. What is everybody talking about? This morning they're talking about Taylor Swift. This morning they don't seem to get it. The right wing, whatever, the Republicans, I don't know, they're worried about Hunter Biden. But the left, you don't understand this. You're not in charge. Years ago when the mob came in and took over parts of the Teamsters, people would say, well, I'm union. This isn't union. This is the mob. This is the mob. The mob loved unions. Came in, loved casinos too. Union, I've got 1 million people so I can sway votes. I can guarantee votes. I have access to the pension plans. And I've got, I can shut down industry. The mobs loved union. So the people who were for years, union people and, Teamsters, local, whatever, they didn't realize, but you're not in charge of this. They are. Same thing with the Democrats. Democrats who said, I was always I'm a hippie from, excuse me, you're not in charge of this. And they're going to slide in Hunter. They're going to slide in Gavin Newsom. And I love this one. I love when people say, well, how are they going to get rid of Joe? By getting rid of him. What are you talking about? People are like, it's easy. He's going to hit his head. He's going to do this. I don't have my fastball. Goodbye, I'm stepping down. And could they put Kamala in there enough? Sure. Well, is she going to run in 2024? No. Now, people can say, well, they might want her. No. Now, here's the problem. I can't predict these people anymore. But a lot of the big donor people and also the shadow government folks realize that they can't get enough done if Kamala is anywhere near the helm because she's just so bad. So she goes in. She is then in charge for a while. And then, it's another story. Do you understand how this works, my friends? Yes, you do. Yes. Very easy. Very easy. And nobody's going to stop and say, but wait a minute, where's Joe? Nobody's asking that. And stop saying that Michelle Obama is going to run. It's ridiculous. It makes she wants nothing to do with this. That's number one. Number two, Barack Obama doesn't control anything. Oh no, he's giving the sick. No, he's not. He was never a Democratic operative. He got things done. He is still he might be one of the best ex-presidents, sort of, but he's all polish. And he is 100% polished. But there's no way. I'm going to tell you again, there's more and more stories about Bobby Kennedy maybe flirting with their Libertarian Party, somebody else. If he goes third party, that'd be one of the greatest things in the world. That will also cause incredible panic on the Democrats' part. Trump is going to be the nominee. Trump's going to be the nominee. Now, I don't know if the GOP throws a monkey wrench. I don't know because they can't be trusted. He's on his own. He is chemotherapy in this whole thing. Because in America, we have a cancer right now. So that's that. So understand something. Go back. The next time somebody says to you, well, I don't know, they might keep Trump off the ballot. No, why? He's not an officer. Huh? Well, you did read the 14th Amendment, did you? Well, and by the way, Michael Mukasey wrote an article. Stephen Calabrese from the Federalist Society. He was the first one. This is Guido's son, I believe. Very, very up there. Calabrese wrote an article endorsing the initial Federalist scholars who came up with this 14th Amendment thing. After Mukasey, who was the Attorney General under Bush 1, I think, or 2, anyway, when he wrote his response, Calabrese said, I stand corrected. You're right. You can't bring this. And they have the work right now to show the Supreme Court, through stare decisis, you've already ruled on this. So it's not like you have to interpret anything. You've already ruled. You have said that the president is an officer is appointed. And if they overrule that, then they're going to turn around and they're going to move to remove Biden. And if that happens, we have a contingent election, and it goes to the House. And it's a 1 vote per delegation, and Republicans have the majority. And that's it. It's beautiful. Have you heard about that? No. Is anybody talking about that? No. Many reasons why. So think about that, my friends. I thank you for that. I got a brand new, spanking new newsletter coming out. If you are not subscribed to my newsletter, this gives you these wonderful little, like an amuse bouche, a little or morsel, an hors d'oeuvre, a little beautiful moment of like, yes, that's interesting. That's coming up. I also want you to do me a favor and listen carefully. And I want you to follow Mrs. L on YouTube. Her channel is so critical, so critical. And people, I will just say this, do not want her message out. As you can imagine, a lot of people want you to just stop talking about kids. That's all. Talk about Marina Abramovich. Yeah. Bring out the crazies. And you know what I feel about them. All right, dear friends, thank you so much. You have been a delight. And to Raul Rodriguez, thank you. Thank you for your contribution, for your benevolence, and in supporting the movement. Don't forget preparedwithlionel.com, and mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. You got it? All right, dear friends. See you tonight at 7 p.m. But don't forget, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.